All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you to another episode of We Create Music TV. I am your host, B. Vaughn, and today we got my man, music producer and sound designer, Payday. What's good, brother?
Man, everything.
How are you, man?
Man, I'm doing good.
Appreciate you being here, man.
Man, look, it's an honor. An honor, brother.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you.
Man.
So let's get into it, man. I'm glad you traveled all the way. I mean, I'm sure you didn't travel all the way down here just for this. But, you know what I'm saying? We got the homies up. In case y'all don't know, they in the background. We got the homies over here in the back. You know what I'm saying? But shout out to the homies who came through, Johanse and Corey. But, man, welcome to the show, brother. I greatly appreciate it.
Oh, man, I'm
Really
a fan,
appreciate
brother.
it. All right, so let's get into it. So let's talk about how you got started in this whole music industry.
Man, all right. I'm going to go way back. My father is a singer.
Okay.
And so when I was just a little kid, I remember my father going on tour with Smokey Robinson and the Miracles.
Ah, nice.
And so he would run with everybody on Motown and everything. Mm-hmm. And as a little kid and being his firstborn, guess who got pulled into every session that he possibly could? Me.
That's right.
So
because parents, we just drag our kids everywhere.
Man, for real. So I remember I was the kid that like climbed in the drum set, you know what I'm saying? When, you know, the drummer would walk off and everything and all that kind of stuff. They got me on camera and pictures and stories and everything. Yeah, it's bad, bro. Like you get around my dad's old band members, man, they ripped the mess out of me. So, but I remember when you was, so
you were this little, you were doing all these things.
Yeah, you remember that? No, I don't remember that. No, I don't. I don't want to remember that. But so yeah, I would get put into that, man. I remember. Matter of fact, I think my father got some pictures. I remember being in my teens. And he would have me in mixing sessions. And I would memorize everything that was being done just because I was around it so much. So I knew, but I didn't really want to have anything to do with music as a kid. Wow. It wasn't like a passion, but I was around it so much that it just kind of happened. So I started, I remember being in the studio and not wanting to be there because I wanted to chase women. You know, that was, you know, that interfered. I could have been at, you know, somewhere where some girls was. I was in the studio. Right. But that turned into, I started writing songs for my dad and other people. So at like 13, 14, I became a published songwriter, writing songs for them. Then I started getting with a couple of his other bandmates who were younger than he was. And they listened to all the hip hop, you know, and everything that we grew up off of, Ice Cube, all that. I remember one cat, PB in particular, was one of the cats that I got with, and I started actually helping him co-produce beats for me. Oh, wow. So I'd pick out samples and everything, and I got into rapping. So I was a rapper, and at one point, I don't remember all the details, but I remember I put together a couple of demos. And because my father was in the industry, one of the demos got sent off to Biv 10 Records, which was Michael Bivins' label at the time. Yeah. And I actually got offered a deal. Wow. And I remember my father was like, yeah, no. Which was probably the wisest thing ever. In hindsight, you know, I was like, yeah, no, I'm glad I did not do that. Because my mom and dad was like, not having that. But at the time, that was not my reaction. Okay.
Right, you're not yours.
No. I was like, all I could see was women and money. Right. And of course, that I would have been one of them Hollywood stories. So
true Hollywood story.
Right. He used to be. What happened? Where is he?
Where is he now?
Right. Yeah. That probably would have been me. I was an idiot. So, but from there, I kept working with my father, and at one point, I was always a huge music fan. So I collected music like you wouldn't believe, bro. Like my CD collection was ridiculous. I spent everything I possibly could on CDs. I'd buy even the stuff that was trash. If it had at least one song that might be good.
Purchasing that.
I was buying it. I remember going to the music store plenty of Tuesdays because everything got released on Tuesdays.
Yep.
So I go to the store And I sit up in there and I remember digging through everything, knowing it wasn't nothing good. I remember just starting to buy random stuff. So then I started listening to stuff outside of urban music. Outside of even the typical, okay, rewind. My first music that I ever bought was Stinging the Police. I didn't even know what hip hop was until Kumo D. Like literally, Kumo D, I think I Go to Work was the first hip hop song I ever heard. And that was because he was on the Apollo. So I was like, what is this hip hop stuff?
You know, like on the black leather and all
Yeah. But I was a rock fan growing up. So, but back there, what I'm saying. So at one point I was just buying all the urban music. And so then I started just buying anything because it was like, I need to buy something. I need to keep, I was just addicted to it. Till one day I got with one of my buddies and me and him decided, because we were talking about all the money we were spending and all the CDs, and we talk about everything, all the credits. And one day he looks at me and says, man, I got an idea. I'm like, what? He was like, man, I know what we can do to be able to afford buying more music. Because, this is a lot of, I'm like, yeah, man, this, I'm like, man, bro, I can't, gotta figure something out.
All my money going to CDs.
Right. He was like, we should become DJs. See, then, and at the time, it was like brilliant. He was like, so we can spend and play all the money, all the music that we spending money on and get paid
for it.
To play it.
That's right.
And then we can spend that on more music. I was like, bro, that's genius. Let's do it.
Because you already have a catalog of music everywhere.
Mind you, though, at the time, CD mixers was like brand new. That was a brand new idea. So me and him put together this set where we were like half digital on CDs and then half on records.
Oh, okay.
And so we started doing, you name it, like all types of different sets. And we started with everybody that we had graduated with or underclassmen. Then that turned into weddings, bar mitzvahs, second weddings, divorce parties.
The divorce parties.
I mean, legit. Their kids' graduation parties. So, that ran on itself. But at one point, I remember I was doing some other things business-wise too. And I was traveled out to Philly. And while I was out there in Philly, my father was like, hey, while you're out here, you need to go see an old friend of mine. You got to see this guy while you're out there. So his friend was Bobby Eli. Bobby Eli is who produced the original Soul Train theme song.
Wow.
So, and I didn't know all of this at the time. He enlightened me later. But so I went and I hung out with this guy, and older guy, and he had this studio that was a old mechanic shop that he had converted into a live room and the other room. So he had everything set up in here. It was incredible, and hung out with him. And at the time, I was getting ready to move to Atlanta or come down here. And so I spent some time down here, but he told me, he says, you need to get back to Milwaukee. You should get back to your city. And I remember it being a very hard decision because I really didn't want to. But he had told me he knew all of the cats that were part of the Roots and that whole neo soul movement, and they were like young kids to him. And he had explained to me, he was like, I saw how they came up. And he's like, and he explained to me the how they came out of just a camaraderie and being in a single studio, and that energy just spread and the creativity, and then the whole nation caught onto that buzz. And he was like, it's gonna happen. He said, it's the cycle of the music business. He said, I remember when, the stars that came out of that city, he said, there's a lot of industry there that's catered behind the scenes in music. He was like, still have your ties to everywhere else. He said, but you want to get back, because when it starts to blow, you want to be a part of it.
You want to be a part of it. That's right.
And now, mind you, everything was popping here in the A at the time already. And I was already DJing down here. and I was a part of, still am a part of Kizzy Rock's DJ crew, which I don't know why the name it's like escaped me right now. But yeah, I was still am part of his DJ crew. And so it was difficult to make the decision to spend more time back in Milwaukee. So, but I eventually did, and that's when I actually hooked up with 40 Mil. Then we created our team, and we just really just tried to embed ourselves back with all the young folks coming up. And for me, it was like I had missed a period of time back home where there was a lot of excitement, a lot of things like the Cranberry Show was a popular group back then. There was a number of other young guys that came up, Classic, and Yo Dot, and some other people, but I missed all of their budding starts, and so I was like the outsider when I came back.
When you went back
it
home.
was like the weirdo. So it took a while for me to get to know everybody, and but I was still back and forth, and still am back and forth between here and there. But I wanted to make sure that I, gave us so much support there, and that really gave me the freedom to really start to have a lot more fun with music and to start doing production and not just a few things here and there.
Right.
And that's trying to condense it a little bit, but
that sounds like a rich,
it's been a long,
very rich background.
It is. It's been a very interesting ride because of it, because I've been able to play a bunch of different roles. I had never intended on engineering records, but I guess just the background of being with my dad, I had a certain ear how I want to sing as a sound, and people were like, well, why don't you just mix the record? I'm like, I don't want to mix the record. It was like, just mix the record. Just see what you can do. Next thing you know, I'm mixing records. Even production, I wasn't intending on being a producer. I was really just consulting on records and giving people tips. Okay, we should probably put a bridge right here, or this kind of stuff, or this is how you should handle the paperwork and stuff like that. And then one day somebody was like, man, why don't you just make the beat too? Just make a beat. I was like, bro,
that's right. Just do it.
All right, fine. I'll make beats. Until I crashed my computer and lost everything.
Yo, I'm dead. That's a real thing. I think almost every producer goes through a crash and almost loses. Man. That's like a nightmare that it's like the worst nightmare you could ever have, but it's real.
And I was on Acid Pro. So that was complicated and archaic and a hot mess to even. So it was like I literally after that I was like, I'm not making no beats. I give up. And then my cousin came and was like, no, bro, you should really make beats. Got this program, FL Studio. That was like FL Studio 5. He had a crack. He was like, man, you should try this. You should try this. I told you I'm not producing. Man, he showed me something, and I was like, bro, that was way simpler than anything I remember. So then I ended up back in production. And even songwriting, I didn't intend to get back into songwriting. And this, in the room said, hey, well, man, I heard you sing too, man. I heard people say you sing, man. Man, what should I write here, man? Well, I heard you humming back there in the back of the room, man. So then I started writing. So it was never something I set out to do. Stuff just kind of grew and happened. Even what I'm doing now, it just kind of was like, man, you good at that. Why don't you just do that, man? Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, so we're going to go back to the introduction and add some more titles onto what he does, right? Not just music producing and sound designer. I'm saying like songwriter, singer, engineer, composer. Yeah. But you see, the one thing he has not said was who his dad is, right? You know what I'm saying? He ain't say that yet. I've been waiting before I ask who his dad is. You know what I'm saying? He ain't say it yet, so.
Well, my father's name is Chaz Dixon. Oh man. Okay, I can't say that without saying a question everybody usually asks. My real name is Barope. So, and I preface that because my father, when he was running with Smokey and the Miracles, and Smokey gave him a nickname of Barope. Mm-hmm. And what he did is he took the first 2 letters of each one of the Miracles' names, Bobby, Ronnie, and Pete, and he gave it to my father as a nickname because he said, your voice is like a one-man miracle.
Wow.
And so that was my father's nickname. So my father gave it to me. But that's how my father was. I mean, he was as much in the industry as any of us. To this day, he talks to guys all over the place, still records music.
Wow.
I actually helped him. I produced actually 2 of his albums. I produced and recorded 2 of his albums before and helped him along. I mean, that was a lot of fun. It was that right there to like do something with your dad, you know, with all his history and his know-how. That's an experience.
That's an experience, man. Sometimes a lot of people don't have the ability to experience that, having a father figure constant in their lives. But man, that's a huge impact on just you and the direction that your life ended up going in. So kudos to your dad for that, brother. Like, that's
I appreciate Dad all day.
That's awesome. That is super awesome. Yeah, I have a cousin, or had a cousin, who was kind of part of that whole scene with the whole Motown and singing and going on tour. And I never had a chance to meet him. It was so crazy. I tell my kids about it. And they're like, Dad, you both lived in St. Louis and you never met Dennis Edwards? I was like, I never met him, ever. Huh. But I ended up finding out that my 5th cousin or something like that was Dennis Edwards from The Temptations, right?
Oh, wow.
So never had a chance to meet him, period, ever.
You ever reached out to him? Or?
I tried to. But Dennis led a very secluded life in St. Louis, so he didn't really.
Yeah, it's a different period of time.
And I didn't want to just be like, find your address, like, yo, what up, cuz? What's good? And he can be like, hey, who are you? Why are you here on my property?
Right.
Let me call St. Louis Police Department. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, that's awesome, brother. That experience for you led to where you are today. There's a couple things I want to go back and try to clarify. So, Bib 10. Right? Mm-hmm. So what was that? So you said, of course, your response to that was completely different than what your parents' response to that was. So what were some of those things that they kind of were watching out for, looking out for, that kind of made them go, that's not going to be the right move for you?
Bruh, man. I was very impulsive as a kid. And my interest was all over the place, and I was a good kid. You know, I didn't do a bunch of really stupid stuff, but I did enough stupid stuff.
Oh yeah, we all do.
You know,
that's
so
right.
Even being a good kid, but my parents knew that I would. Looking back, because they never sat me down and said, "Well, this are all the reasons why," but being a parent, I remember them telling me that I was not ready. And I can understand that, being in the position I am now and knowing what I was like. I'm glad they made a decision, and I can see how that was a good decision to make, because I would not have sustained that. I probably would have. I came up with some good, because naturally I'm an introvert, very much an introvert. It takes me really feeling comfortable with somebody. I like one, which is one reason why I like one-on-one sessions with artists. I love that. I would not have been able to do all the performances that are required, especially at that time, in the industry, necessary. I just would not have been able to keep it up. I would have burned out. I would have fizzled and said, okay, I'm on to something else, because this is not it. I'm bored now, or something of that nature. And like most people back then, I probably would have signed a horrible contract to probably be pinched to this day. And, you know, all that kind of stuff. And they knew enough about the industry for many reasons as to why that wasn't, you know, healthy, you know, for me to go into. You know, I've heard a lot about a lot of industry children that the parents say, man, I do not want my son to go into this industry. And I can understand that. And I can understand some of the conversations I remember and still have with my father. He still tells me to this day, he's like, be careful about, you know, the decisions you make, who you get with, and, you know, be mindful of that. Take your time, don't rush. And so, and I probably wouldn't have listened at that time, or as much as a 14-year-old, 15-year-old kid would with a whole lot of blank checks and leeway and pressure would have, you know, listened. You know what I'm saying? So they knew me better than that. That's what I can ascertain from it. You know what I'm saying? And from what my father's said to me over the years. You know, but I've never really had a sit down. You know, now that I think about it, probably would be a good conversation to have. Like, Dad, why did you?
Like, why did you say that?
Was your? I mean, I can guess, but Dad, I mean, seriously, what did you see in me? You see, I was an idiot that much, and he probably would look at me and say, "Yes, son, yeah, you were an idiot." But yeah, that's my thinking on it. Is probably lack of self-control back then too. You know, again, hormones and. You know, there's a lot more money thrown around at, you know.
Way more money.
You know, so there's no telling what I would have said yes to inadvertently or not said yes to and, you know, really messed myself up. You know, so. And.
Yeah, because most people just kind of jump right at the opportunity. Oh, yeah, I got a deal on the table? Cool. Parents are like, they're looking at them bills like, yeah, I'll go ahead and sign with whoever you need to sign with so we can make sure everything that we got is taken care of. But I think having someone, your father in your life who knew the industry, who knew some of the risk and rewards, but was able to provide you with just the right decision-making process to say, you know, you want legacy versus just impulsivity, right? And I think a lot of times today, we live in a very impulsive world in a very impulsive music environment. Like we want everything now, we gotta have everything now, and it's like people signing deals left and right, but without really considering what their legacy truly is and what they're really getting out of it. So I think that's all fathers should be doing that.
Man.
You know what I'm saying? Guiding your young men to be men. At least that's what I try to do.
Man, and my father. He did not slack. So to this day, he still. But son, what you doing? Slow down. You sure you want to make that move? So yeah, I appreciate that, and I try to be the same way with my kids as well. But yeah, no, I think that's a main. I think also too, some of it may have came from his own past and what troubles he went through. And then what struggles that, put on my mother and father's marriage and things of that nature. I think all of that played a part in his decision making and probably, I think recently, like my grandfather just passed recently. And I remember being at the repast, and one of his old band members that hadn't seen me since I was like probably that age, he came to me and was like, "Man, you are exactly like your father that hit when he was your age." Like exactly. So I can understand now why my father may have looked at me and said, "No, you are just like," and I know how I was. I knew what I said yes to. So yeah, nah, bro. Right. Ain't gonna happen. So
that's right. That's what's up, brother. That's what's up. Cool, man. So I want to talk about Rithmatics, brother, and kind of where that came from and what you do, what you guys do with Rithmatics. Let me make sure I say that right. You know what I'm saying? So talk a little bit about that.
Oh man,
how'd you get into doing that?
So, oh boy. Well, I remember one of the things when I when I decided, okay, well, I'm gonna plant the flag back home. I lost touch with everything that was going on. So I started studying and looking up and seeing who's popping, who's, what producers. And it was this one producer that was just creative as all get out. He popped up everywhere. He was doing beats for some of everybody back home. And he didn't have what I thought was a style. He was very versatile. One of the most versatile guys at the time that I could come across on, and that was popping. He was out there, I didn't have to like go show up at somebody's back room door to like figure out who he was or nothing. So, and I liked his stuff. His stuff was just dope. Had way better drums than I could ever have. I was just like impressed. I was like, man, dude, I got to do something with this guy, man. It's like this guy. So I remember get on IG, and I was on Facebook, and I inbox him. Like, hey, excuse me, Mr. 40 Mil. It's like, oh, look, I just, I came back to Milwaukee from Atlanta, and trying to find some guys to work with, and I really like your style, man. We got to get up and collab, man. I really want to collab with you, get some work done. And his reply to me was, yeah, I'm really busy. That's probably not gonna happen. Yeah, so maybe just send me something and I'll see. So that's where that went. But I started, I got with another producer, and then my father as well, and then another singer. And we decided, I really was like, hey, let's make this a collective and really start to hone in our skills. And I was like, look, I want to put out records. I want to find very talented people. So everybody that I got with at that point was very talented. And one singer, she can sing her butt off. Oh my goodness. We were working on some stuff from her, and she looked and said, look, man, Payday, I got this other producer. I just called him. He's going to come through. I've worked with him before. This guy is really, really dope. And she was like, I could just imagine like the two of y'all doing something. I'm telling you, it'd be cold. And I think especially on these next couple songs we work, I think it'd be just mind-blowing. We do some space age stuff. And I was like, okay, I'm down with it. Who's the guy? She was like, 40 Mil. I'm like, oh, yes. He been standing me up forever. This is perfect. So he comes by, and he was all business. He comes in and sets up everything. Boom, boom, boom. I set up some melodies. He knocks out some, he did it on his headphones. What's the BPM on that? All right. 5 minutes later. It might have been longer, might have been less. It felt like 5 minutes. It's got the full arrangement of drums. And it's like, here's the fives. And I pop it in. I'm like, what the freak, bro? This dope. I had to stop the session. I'm like, bro, you incredible, bro. Like, and then he listens. He's like, man, yeah, this is pretty dope. And I was like, bro. And I remember, I don't remember if it was at that session. I called him or something. I remember us having a phone conversation, and I told him then, I was like, look, bro, Milwaukee. I know the industry. I was like, I'm telling you, bro, like, we can make something happen. We can really make something happen, bro. And I hear something with you. I was like, bro, you can go way further than me. I was like, I want to at least, if nothing else, I want to plug you in with some folks, man, that can take you. And
see, I love that. I love that mentality when it comes to helping other people, because you don't really see that a lot of days. You see most people just being out for themselves, but I love when people want to help other people succeed in their vision and in their craft. Not from a selfish perspective, like, oh, I'm gonna help you so I can get something out of it, but I want to help you because you're just dope. And I think that you bring a lot of stuff to the table. Like, that's a perfect mentality to have.
And what was, and I felt like that for everybody, but especially for 40, because I had watched him, and forgive me.
No, you good, brother. See, that shows you the impact of the relationship. Like that's perfect.
That's my brother. But I remember I just watched him and I knew he was so cold. And I was like, bruh, I was like, you bigger than this. You bigger than what you doing now. And I just knew that, you know, I knew the avenues enough that I was like, man, if I just get you, I know you just gonna run because you a hustler. I was like, man, you a hustler, man. But, you know, your ear for everything and your versatility is, man, if we can just break you out the city and get you plugged in, man. I'm like, man, I'm telling you, you are going to run with this. You going, you know, the right door open and it's on. I was like, I want you to have that. And I think he kind of ho-hummed me. But even when I started, I got hooked up with iStandard and shout out and R.I.P. to Kels, because she was the one that reached out to me, and so I started getting with iStandard, and I remember I was telling him then, I was like, man, you need to come, man, come with me, bro. I'm telling you this. Yeah, this is it. And he was like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that, bro. I'm not doing that. No, it just, I love making music. I'm doing this. I'm working. He was like, you call me for a session, bro. We gonna cook all day. It's Rithmatics to death. I'm with you. You know, we gonna keep rolling. But I'm not doing all that, bro. He didn't have the belief yet, and I remember a couple times, and I came back, and I forget what it was, but one of the A3Cs, he looked at me. I think it was my second one. He was like, I'm gonna go with you. I'm going to A3C with you this time, bro. You ain't about to come back here with all these stories and all this stuff without me. He was like, nah, it's something. I see it in you. It's like, so I'm go. And he still was kind of like, you know, I'm just going like on a reconnaissance mission. And after that, man, it's been incredible. I'm more excited for him and what he's got going. You know, matter of fact, it's really him that has pushed me a lot of times into stepping out in front role, because otherwise I'm happy in the back. I'm the guy that's happy being in the studio, having the one-on-one conversations. I love the creative aspect. I love the business aspect. I'm not so much of the upfront guy. So for years on purpose, I let him be the guy in front. I let him do all that because I just didn't want the attention. And he would push me for years. But bro, why don't you do this? You need to do that. No, you're good at that. Man, just do it. And I appreciate him for that. But it was, for the most part, I was always like, look, no, you do it. You go ahead and make that happen. And just through the years, we've, our families have spent time together. You know, we've done a lot of things together. You know, really bonded like brothers. You know, when the ups and downs and the frustrations, and you know, you're dealing with various artists, and you know, things happen. I remember being on the phone with him plenty of times, like, bro, yeah, nah. And you know, he was the one that brought Beyonce to me. He was like, man, no, brother, Beyonce, you gotta meet this guy, Beyonce. And I was like, at this point, you know, at that point, it was, you know, well, if you say G, I say O, bro, let's go.
Let's go.
You
let's
know,
do it.
If you vouch for this person, I'm with it. I'm already. I ain't got no problem. And it's been great ever since. So really, a lot of things are 40. You know, he's He a lot of times he would push me into doing the beat battles because I really didn't. I never wanted to do a beat battle. He got me into doing that. He would sit back and coach me and on all that because I'm a song guy. I'm like, man, I like a song arrangement. I didn't know what beat battle. I didn't even know it was a whole different beast. I remember, I think my first beat battle, I'm playing like some Kenny G type mess or something, man. He was like, bro, what? This is a beat battle. What are you doing at? I'm like, bro, this is what I know. I don't know. So I was that guy. Never won a beat battle.
That's good. But you realize a lot of people who are doing beat battles never really won them, but they are probably very successful in just the music industry, period, from a producer perspective, but have never won a beat battle.
Mm-hmm. Now, I learned a lot from
you learn a lot.
Man, so like he would be very emphatic about, man, you need to go to beat battles. You listen to that, you hear what they did, bro. Like, he was the one that helped me wrap my head around that learning experience all the time and soaking that stuff in. And man, it's yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out how to do these crazy 808 patterns that I hear in songs all day. I don't know how to do none of that. And slides and I don't know how to do none of that. I don't know how to do regular boom, 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 boom. Regular 808s, but oh my goodness. But that's why I went to beat battles. So I could hear like, oh wow, why did they do it that way?
Right.
Yeah, that was ingenious how they did it that way. And so I'll sit, and my kids know, because they'll come in and catch me. I'll sit and watch like Battle of the Beat Makers, the tournament up in Canada. I'll sit and watch an entire episode, and the whole season, and it's like 6 videos, and I'll just be in the studio just watching like, yo, like the guy who just won it 2019, his name is Unknown, Asian dude from North Korea. I mean, he's in Seattle, but he was born in he won the whole thing, killed it. But when I heard his stuff, I was like,
I gotta check this out.
Yo, how did he do that? What made him do it that way? So you learn a lot when you go to beat battles and you hear what other producers are doing. I mean, they may not necessarily tell you, I EQ'd it this way and I rolled it off here, or I added this particular compression or this distortion to it. But you can hear it and you go, wow, that was different. Why do you do it that way?
Man, you know what's funny is that I used to want, I remember, you know what? I'm going to go back because I was just having this conversation about FKI first. Mm-hmm. So when I remember they did a video when it was a team of them. I watched a video when Travis Porter was popping. And they did like a quick video on YouTube. And this was unheard of still, of doing YouTube tutorial, basically like even giving a little bit of the secret sauce of what they was doing. And I remember they gave a little bit, and it was one point, I think I looked and I was like, oh wow, that was less elaborate than I imagined in my head that it was. And I would have did it way different. And I think somewhere along that time, I realized I was like, I really don't want to know what exactly because half the fun is like, okay.
Figuring out yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, okay, because you might stumble across something different by mistake, just trying to like figure out what they did. You're like, ooh, I ain't figured out what they did, but it sounds pretty dope right here. I think I'm going to keep this in the bucket.
That's right.
And that's so much fun. Yeah. That's so much fun.
Yeah.
But it helps when you got somebody like 40 Mil that like do some stuff stupid, and then you like, bruh, what the heck was that?
Shout out to 40 Mil, bruh.
For real.
Appreciate you, my dude. Greatly appreciate you. I was telling y'all even before we began that I met him at A3C 2017, and we just clicked, and it was just I think we actually sat next to each other during the I think it was the Manny Fresh session. I think we were just sitting next to each other, and we just clicked and hit it off, and just stayed in touch. And it was just shout out to 40 Mil, bro. Shout out to you, my dude.
Man. Yeah. Matter of fact, I remember we did a beat battle for iStandard in Chicago, and we prepped. And this was I we had another homie of ours who actually got me to go over to Pro Tools and start learning Pro Tools. Because I was like dead set against it. I was like, not doing it. I'm a producer. I don't mix, don't engineer. And he was like, Payday, I'm telling you, just learn Pro Tools. It's just, man, if you can do FL, you can do Pro Tools. I was like, not gonna happen. A year later, I got Pro Tools. Man, so anyway, but we had him, we did these sessions where we would sit, the three of us in the room, and literally I would start something. I'd do like 4 bars or something. And we'd come up with a concept of what we were going to sample or whatever, what kind of idea. And then I'd start an idea. I'd literally pass those 4 bars to 40. And 40 would take those 4 bars and do another 8 bars. And he'd take it in whatever direction he felt like. And then I'd get it back and I'd take it somewhere else based off of the inspiration of what he did. And then we gave it to the engineer, Chris G. And the homie Chris G, very talented engineer. He's one of those guys too to kind of keep to himself. So he's like full of gold information, but if you don't really know him, he ain't gonna really talk to you. But he took it and he mixed, and so we did that for all the beats we did at this iStandard, and to this day, we like go back and listen to that stuff. We're like, man, what the heck were we on? And I remember, who was it? It was why can't I think of his name right now? Anyway, one of the producers was like, one of the judges in there, like, man, dude, I could just listen to this over and over again. We didn't win that one either, but he was like, man, I could just, and that for us, that was like enough of a, that was like, okay. That means you're confused, and you can't really say. I was like, you're entertained. Like that's what this was. Wasn't meant for a rapper or anything else. We really just wanted to have you like, wow, and that's what it was. But that's none of that would have happened without 40 Mil in the room because his ear is just different, you know.
That's
so
what's up.
Thanks to that brother.
Yeah, thanks to you, brother. Really appreciate it. Man, one thing when you come down here, we gotta have you on the show. Like, I'm gonna send you a text. Stop playing around. But yo, so plug the sound packs that you guys do. Like,
oh man,
like, they do sound design, and oh my goodness, yeah. Let's talk about that.
Man, I'm gonna rewind. 40 is the original sound pack man. He was the guy. He did drums and stuff, and matter of fact, I used to chop up his kits. And one day he looked at me, he's like, man, matter of fact, most of the work we would do, I would just send him something that I started. And he was like, man, you should do sound packs. I'm like, no, that's not really my thing, bro. No, I don't even know what that is. No, bro, you got to do sound packs. So he was doing them, and he had his site on Bandcamp. And he had sound packs, and I remember one time he did it was one of the games like Street Fighter or something, and I think I still got it, that mess was cold. And he just has an ear for that. So then he eventually pressured me. He was like, man, no, you should really do, like you have an ear for this weird stuff. You should just do it and put it out there. I was like, man, you sure? This is just like stuff I'm doing, bruh. He was like, no. So I went and set up. Eventually, it took a while for me to actually get serious about it. And I was like, okay, you know what? All right, this is something I really want to do. And then we set up, I've got my site, he's got his. Eventually, we're going to pair everything together and have it on one common link. But he has gone into, it was funny because we've actually inspired each other. So he inspired me to get serious about it and actually just really do sound packs and sample packs. So I've started doing drum kits and sample packs, and I keep a lot of them available. Some I make not available. Like these are just free. Yes. And it's a lot of fun. And with that in turn, we would talk all the time. We still talk all the time. And he was like, man, it's like, bro, you inspired me to get, on my own melody loops. And I'm like, bro, you was already doing it. What you mean? Like, that's what you do. But somehow it inspired him to now do it and see it as something possible. So then he started, and I'm like, bro, that's dope. So now we've got all these ideas back and forth. It's so much fun to do because it's, for us, we have so many ideas and creatives around us already too. And then, just our backgrounds is, we don't have to follow the rules of making a song. It's like we know that, we understand that, song arrangement. But to do that, you don't have to have any rules. So you just
there's no rules,
just
man.
do
Like,
something.
do stuff, make stuff. What sounds good? Be creative.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And then that's what, when it comes down to it, it's fun, it's enjoyable. It's not the same pressure. And it keeps it fresh for us. So we got off into that. And then not to mention, we'd have a lot of, we started getting, actually, because he's more out in the open and probably talks more with people than I do, because I'm the kind of guy that all my alerts are shut off on my phone, so I don't get no alerts. If you send me a text, I don't get an alert for that. Like, I just, so I don't talk to people one-on-one. I like to study, spend time with kids and stuff, and
That sounds like
music and
another friend of mine. I ain't gonna say your name though.
So,
But it's always on like don't disturb and bro, I didn't see your text until like 3 days later.
yeah. So like literally, I don't even get an Instagram message unless I'm looking for it. So.
Shoot, I ain't gonna do that.
Man, it's a lot more freeing. Because at one point I had a problem with it because it was just too much. And it was just too much. It was oversensory. I got Facebook bouncing off. And that's not even with me talking to as many people. It's 40. 40 knows how to balance that a lot better and deal with that. And that's like just too much for me. So allows me to really kind of balance things out and be in the moment a lot better. And manage that. So he would get people coming back and say, man, that stuff that Payday played, man, on Facebook or IG or whatever you played, that was his, man, bro, I didn't know, man, where can I get some of that or whatever, or I randomly get somebody, man, so you make sound back, man, you guys send me some of whatever. So it just kind of developed into that, and I was like, okay, well, I guess if there's interest, I guess I'll do it for real. It helped too because at one point I went and took Mario Luciano, big sample pack maker, incredible talented ear. This guy is incredible. I took one of his classes, and I really wanted to talk to him because I wanted the confirmation. So I took the class with him, and I just wanted to see, what am I missing? And he gave me a lot of great tips and everything, and on the business side of it, and marketing direction, things of that nature. So that helped a lot. So that's also was another stamp, and that was also because 40 was like, man, you should do it. Take the class.
Why not?
He was like, I don't think you need it, but he was like, take the class. I'm like, bro, it's always something. You can't. I really believe you can't be full of yourself and think you got all the answers. Because if you already got all the answers, then you have no room for new answers. And if that's the case, then you stop growing. If there's nothing more to reach for, then growth stops. And I never wanted to be that way. So especially when it comes to creativity, I never have wanted to stunt my creativity and do the same thing all the time. So I went after that, then started running. Then me and Audio Anthem, Crate League, we got to be really good friends. And then there's another producer that, thanks 40 Mil, I got to meet from back home, Milwaukee, Came One. Came One, really dope sample maker. Yeah, I'm plugging the name. He recently just got placement with Rick Ross and also Kanye.
That's what's up.
And,
Yeah, he stayed up the street.
Okay, there you go. So, so all of that is like now you got this hub of creatives and sample makers, and you know we talk all the time and do different ideas and stuff, and I'm sure we inspire each other. Like, ooh, I like how you did that, you know. So it's like a niche of the producer, you know.
Yeah, it's like a community.
Community, exactly.
Yeah, that's what's up.
It's dope. It's dope, and it's so that's what it is. It's what it is. I don't know how to really else call it. It's fun, but yeah.
Yeah, that's what's up, man.
Man.
Yeah. So, where can people connect and find you?
They can find me on IG DJ_Payday. Also at DJ_Payday at Twitter. And plug the packs, sellify.com/DJ Payday, no underscore.
Check out that Borderlands though.
Bro, wait, we got some other ideas, bro. Wait.
Oh man.
I'm not gonna.
Because I heard this, they got like 6 or 7 of them up there. I've been eyeing them. I was like, when I listened to them last night, I was like, oh. Now I just heard the ones that was on your Instagram.
Oh. See,
I'm seeing
the one I went did off strictly a move grandmother. I made it do stuff it ain't supposed to do.
Yeah, sellify.com/DJ Payday.
Man. But yeah, check us out there. Also, we have Rithmatics.com and spelled like it sounds, and on IG at Rithmatics as well. So that's where you can find us, and even on Facebook we have a Rithmatics page as well, so you can find that group and lock in, become a fan, and we talk about it a lot.
Man. That's what's up, brother.
Man,
I appreciate you being here, man. It's just, I've been wanting to sit down with you for a while. Even since when I re-saw you back at, where were we? Patchworks.
Okay.
Yeah, we was at Patchworks. It was on A3C.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we was at Patchworks for the Native Instruments joint.
Man.
Yeah.
Man.
Yep.
A lot of talented people in the room there.
Man.
Bruh.
See, those are the secret things that people don't like. We do A3C and it's amazing, but it's the stuff that happens afterwards that's next level stuff.
You know what come to mind first when you say that? I was about to say his real name, Major Seven's dad. That fool.
Bruh. Major Seven, aka I ain't gonna say your real name, but everybody know it anyway. But still Major Seven. Yeah, I need your dad to I'm just gonna text you, bro. I'm just gonna text you because I need your dad to do some stuff because his food.
Man.
Yo, he made some. So I'm vegetarian, right? And he made some the tofu thing. Yo, that's all I gotta say. Man, I was like, yo, what's this? This thing was okay, but yeah, that's for another time because we're gonna sit here and run out of time. But man, I appreciate you being on the show, brother. Greatly appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Oh, and I forgot to plug.
Yeah.
Merch coming.
Get the merch. Rithmatics.
Yep.
Get the merch. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to another episode of We Create Music TV. You can always catch us every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at www.wecreatemusic.tv. You can check out past episodes with some great producers, singer-songwriters, but make sure you check us out. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Instagram, of course, Twitter. But thank you very much for tuning in. Peace out. Peace.